What is up, everybody? We are back for another PSGL video. It is round number 6, so the halfway point of the season, and so far this season we have scored, is it 5 points? Yep, 5 points this season. 2 points finishes, 1 in Japan and 1 in Vegas, and the other 3 races have been pretty shoddy. So we're trying to get a decent haul of points here in Monza. Monza's a bit more of a simple track, so hopefully there is a little bit in it for us as we go on our first qualifying lap, and I feel all right around here. I feel kind of comfortable, and if you didn't see it at the start, it is supposed to be a wet race as well. So we got a fully dry qualifying, and then we go to the race and it's completely wet. So we get 2 different ends of the spectrum, and it'll be interesting to adapt. So it's important that we get a good qualifying session in so that we're not stuck in that midfield or at the back for when for the wet start, because it's going to be chaos going down into that first chicane. It's always chaos, let alone when it's raining. People are not going to be able to slow down. So we're on our first lap. This is our banker lap. We didn't invalidate, so that's a good start. But what is it? Up to the line, it's a 20.2, which isn't bad, but at the same time, isn't great. As you can see, we've dropped down to P9 in total. I know I could do a little bit better. There was a lot of time on the table, and we're going to try and break a little later into turn 1, and there you go. That's what happens when I try and push it a little bit more. So we've got to be a bit smarter with it. We've got to make sure we don't spin out. But as we come on to our last lap, we're about to start our final lap, and we're down into P14. You can see we're ahead of both Williams drivers, but that is it. So we need to find some time in this final lap. It is do or die. You know, if we don't put in a good lap, then it doesn't matter. We're at the back anyway, really. So we might as well go full send in this final lap. It's into that first chicane. That looked very nice. That looked very tidy. You can see on exit, it's about a 10th and a half, almost 2 tenths up through the first sector. And I thought the first sector was pretty good last time. It was the middle and final sector where we had a bit of trouble. So to be a 10th and a half up on a sector that we thought we did decent is a very good start. And it's not bad through the chicane there. Finding another couple of tenths, and we're almost 4 tenths up in this middle sector. A little too tight to the apex there, but it's not too much of a deficit as we're still gaining time. We ride the curb a little bit on the exit, which does scrub off a bit of speed, but we are about half a second up. So we are flying on this lap as we head into Ascari. Do not bottle it, and it looks pretty good through there. It's nice and stable. No moments, no rear end kicking out. We are 6 tenths up. There is a lot of time in this final corner as well. If we nail it, I think there's a good couple of tenths because we turned in too early on our previous lap. We break at a perfect time. We hit the apex, and look at that. It's 9 tenths. It's a whole second here in Monza. Where are we going to put it? Up to the line. It's the second row, and it is P3. For the first time in our PSGL career, we are starting on the second row. It is our best ever qualifying performance, and I don't know where we have pulled that from. A whole second quicker on our final flying lap. We knew we had more time in it, and I'll tell you what, if we had nailed that middle sector, it could have been a front row, maybe even a pole position, but we are not complaining with a P3. As you can see, I'm looking at Crifflam's time. He invalidated both of his laps. I don't think he did that on purpose, so I think he's had a bit of a mare in qualifying. He is the championship leader, so he started down in P17, so that just gives us more excitement for the race, but we do kind of have to tone it down a bit because it is a wet race. We're in a wet race in Monza, and you can see at the top, it is very, very wet, but everybody is starting on intermediate tyres, so it is going to make the race very interesting down into turn 1 as we are underway here in Monza, and it's not a bad start at all. The Ferrari gets a decent start as well, and the Mercedes a little slow off the line, but just about good enough. But the Ferrari can go down the inside. We're going to sit behind the Mercedes, brake as late as possible, and around the outside of the Ferrari, and the Red Bull have gone flying into the Mercedes, and we go side by side with the Ferrari. I think we had a bit of a moment there, but we get away with it. And we're going to be up in a P2 here in round number 6 of PSGL. We don't know what to do. Why are we up here? We've never been up here before. This is craziness, and we're braking really early to be careful. The safety car deployed, but no, we've gone around. We've had a nightmare. We've bottled it. We have severely bottled it. We're back on track, and we're going to get, I think, P8, P9. Where are we going to go? I think the Aston lets us pass, so we're back up to P8, but we've lost 6 positions from spinning under the safety car. And the big problem about it is that it is like hovering between wet and into conditions, so everybody is like not got the grip that they're kind of expecting. On the intermediates, you expect decent enough grip, whereas in this weather, you really don't, and it is very difficult to find your braking zone. And down into turn 1, you can see that Red Bull just completely misses his braking zone, hits the Mercedes. We actually had a bit of a slide as well, and I think we clipped the Ferrari, which kind of helped us not spin around at turn 1, but didn't hinder him, which is good news. And yeah, we just lose the rear end there, and that's us going round, dropping from P2 down to P8, and that is devastating. That is devastating. When you start on the second row and you're down to P8, well, now P7, because someone had to pit after the first half of a lap. It definitely hurts, but we're not out of it just yet. We're in P7. We're still in a decent position. We can still do something from this race. And, I mean, we're only 3 laps in. There's 24 more laps and it's raining. It is mental, the weather. So we certainly do have a chance to do so. As down into turn 1, we brake really early. And I tell you what, the Red Bull takes full advantage. Crifflam down the inside, who started P17, is already up to P7. So that first lap carnage, he was not involved. He's avoided it all, and he said thank you very much and got through half the field. So Crifflam is on a charge. He's trying to do the last to first challenge, but let's focus on ourselves. P8, just get some good laps in, stay P8, and try and score a decent points finish. It's a little annoying that we've lost all the advantage that we had, but if people keep battling like this, we can certainly stay involved as Crifflam looks to remove down the inside of the Haas. We almost get pushed onto the grass there, but we do survive for now. And I think in the wet weather conditions like this, it is all about just surviving, because it is so easy to go off, especially as it is that crossover point between wets to inters. So the grip just isn't there, and you kind of sliding through these corners and praying that the car slows down in time. As you can see, Crifflam having a bit of trouble with that going off the circuit, and that's going to give us a little bit of a chance to have a run at him as we go around the outside. Our teammate in front, not really dumping the ERS, I don't think, as we're closing on in and we're kind of boxed in, and that's going to allow Crifflam to go down the inside. And it's a nice little battle for P6, but the front runners are going away, as that's unusual. Peter in the Alpine spinning on out. And it's gone from the battle for P6 to now the battle for P5 to now the battle for P4 as we close on in to the other Red Bull up ahead. It's Quantium. Down the inside goes Crifflam. And we're trying to make a move on our teammate, but not quite yet. We're a little cautious under the brakes. We're a little scared to brake late as both the Haas, our teammate, and the other Red Bull get past Quantium, and he loses 3 places in a couple of corners. So all we have to do is kind of follow these front runners through and stay with them. You know, don't lose track of them. But it's looking even better than that, because we have got solid pace in the wet. We did go for a wet setup, and we're going to breeze past our teammate who doesn't fight it. He lets us go. He knows we're probably around the same pace, and any fighting is just going to cost us time to the front 5, or front 4, should I say. And we are in a legitimate chance of scoring a podium here. Look, we're fighting for P4. P3 is only a second and a half up the road. We're on the pace for a potential podium as we make a move on the Ferrari down the inside. He breaks a little bit later, but we've got the inside line. Thank you very much. Up in a P4. Are we in an alternate reality right now? Why am I fighting for P4 in PSGL? We're usually fighting for P10 if it's a good day, let alone fighting for a podium, as we're right behind P3, the Alfa Romeo. I mean, Crifflam's got a bit of an advantage and he's closing on in to the race leader, Tralad, who's in the McLaren. So the first and second have kind of created a gap, but we're right here with P3. And if we could get a podium here in PSGL, it will be our first ever podium, and we've done about a season and a half. So in about, I think it's like 18, probably like 16 races, we've never got a podium. Our best finish was P4 in Silverstone, but we're making a move down the inside to go into the podium positions now here in Monza. Late on the brakes, almost running wide, but we keep it in between the white lines, and that is P3 for us. At least for now, as it looks like the Alfa Romeo is right in our tail as he's looking at that move around the outside, but not quite yet. We defend that inside line, and I mean, we're very tight in the corner, but we've just about got a gap to him, and this is exciting times. We've got decent pace for once, so it's actually going to be a video where we're fighting for a podium and not just for points. Is the Alfa Romeo closing in on behind? Is he going to go for the move around the outside, late on the brakes? Look how late he is there. I mean, I wish I could brake that late, but no, I'm a little too scared to do that because I don't want to lock up and go straight. And I think at this point in the race, I just have to be smart. Don't take risks. Don't overdrive the car to the point where I'm going to slide off. I got to be smart with it. As we go for the move down the inside, that's not being too smart. That's going for an ambitious move as we slide through the corner and we make the overtake stick. But as I was saying, we should just be smart. We should just say, look, even if we do get P4, it's a fantastic result because this season we have been shoddy, we have been poor, and we need a solid result just to get our name up the standings because it has been a long time since we've got a good result. That's a really poor exit out of that corner, and Mark is going to have a field day and he's going to breeze past us down the inside, and we say, see you later, mate. Have a good one. But we'll try and stay in the wheel tracks of the Alfa Romeo, and there's a bit of a gap behind us as well. I mean, there's a little bit of a train, but a big gap after that, and that is until a safety car comes out. A lovely safety car. I'm not sure if this is good or not for us because it is about to stop raining, so everybody is going to come into the pits, or at least most of the people are coming into our pits. Our teammate is kind of forced to stay out because he would have came into the pits right behind us, but he doesn't lose any places either. I think he does lose one place actually to the Mercedes, so not too bad. He's in P5, we're in P3 because Crifflem I think stayed out and then dropped down a couple of places, so he's down into P6. We're in P3, we're in the podium positions with 10 laps to go. So drink it in because it is very rare that we're in this position as we're back underway with a safety car restart. That's a good restart from us. Same with the Mercedes behind. The Mercedes on the hards behind, which I think is a bit of a mistake, but we're in the mediums. We're going to go for it down the inside of the Alfa Romeo, locking up the brakes. We just about slow it down. We give him the room. He gives us the room. It's fair racing, but can we get on the traction? Can we get on the gas a little bit earlier? It's close side by side with the Alfa, but another safety car comes out, and we were just behind the Alfa Romeo. But what's the game saying? The game is giving us the position. The game is giving us the P2 position. We were definitely not ahead. We were certainly behind the Alfa Romeo, and we know we were behind. So we're going to give him back the position. We're going to go off the track, let him pass, and he can have that P2 back. Because that's not the way we want to pass, and we were certainly not past him. I mean, we can have a look again. You can see I'm still behind him, and yeah, I'm about a quarter of a car behind him. It's not that difficult to see. The game is... come on now. Fix it out, EA. That's pretty stinky. I don't think I was ever ahead of him at any point. So for me to be given that position would have been pretty outrageous, but we gave him back the position. He's back in P2, and we're going to have another safety car restart. This time, only 7 laps to go, and it's a poor restart from us. Not too great at all, but the Mercedes isn't that close, so we should be able to hold on to that P3, at least for the first couple of corners, and then, I mean, they might breeze back past us because we are in a wet setup, so I'm assuming... Well, they might be on wet setups as well, but we've got to be a little careful as we slide into turn 1, almost losing that rear. That's the last thing we want to do. We're in the best position we've ever been in. If we can take home a top 5 finish, we will happily take that, as Crifflem is all over the back of us. We know he is fast, usually a lot faster than us, so we don't really fight it. We let him go around the outside, and he continues his charge as he tries to make that last to first challenge happen here in PSGL. And we've done a really good job of just staying with him. I mean, we're about to go 2 laps to go, and we're still in the DRS of all 3 drivers up ahead. If something happens, we are there to capitalise and take home a podium. And don't forget, the race win is not out of the question either. It's 3 drivers up ahead. They're all going 3 wide down into turn 1. That's not going to work. What's going to happen? The McLaren clips the Red Bull. Around they go. We say thank you very much. Up in a P3. Crifflem drops down. He's in P4, but he did recover, so he didn't lose too much time, so he can still be involved in this fight. Tralad and the Alfa Romeo squabbling as they go side by side, but in the rear you can see Crifflem behind, and the Mercedes is gone. The Mercedes braked way too late. He was P5 and he's dropped all the way down the order. He's had a nightmare. That is terrible from him. He's a lap and a half to go and you're in the top 5, and now you drop out the points because too late on the brakes. It's a big mistake. And he's going to be regretting that one as we look to potentially take the race lead here in Monza. We clipped the wall, and that was a very, very aggressive overtake, but we got it done. We're leading a race. We're leading a race on the penultimate lap here in PSGL. Surely not. Surely not. We're not going to win a race. If we win here in Monza, I don't know what I'm going to do. The Alpha closing on in. It is Monza though. The slipstream, the DRS is going to be so powerful as we head on to the final lap. We have about 25% of ERS to use up, and we're going to use as much of it as possible to try and defend against the Alpha, the Red Bull, and the McLaren. What's Mark going to do? He goes around the outside. Crifflam with enough speed as well, sends it down the inside. And we were first for half a lap. We're going to take that. We were first for half a lap, but it's not over yet. If we can get on the traction, can we get on the gas pedal quick enough to potentially have a go at the Red Bull? We're using the ERS. They're going side by side. It's getting spicy as the Alfa Romeo chops across us and pretty much makes us lift off that gas pedal. We almost went into the back of him, and that could have been absolutely tragic for the pair of us, but we're still holding on to that podium position as the McLaren looking for a move around the outside. It is getting spicy with half a lap to go. Everybody fighting for a potential win, for a potential podium, as the Alfa Romeo close enough to potentially go for that move on Crifflam. Is the McLaren close enough to us? Not quite. We could be on for our first ever podium here in PSGL. I'm losing my voice as the Red Bull goes defensive. We could potentially get a run at the pair of them, but we made a bit of a mistake, and the McLaren behind is going to smell an opportunity. He goes through down the inside, a bit of contact, but he's got the inside line as we come into the final corner. Can we brake late enough? We go for it around the outside. It's going to be a photo finish. Crifflam is going to take the win ahead of Mark in the Alfa Romeo, and Trallard is going to hold on to that podium position, and we equal our best ever position in PSGL, and it was so close to a podium. Even a win was on the cards at one point. But let's have a look at this incident again. You can see Trallard, he goes for a move that wasn't really there. He's gone on to the grass as well. I don't know. We're going to leave this one up to the stewards. We have a bit of a moment there, and that allows him to go for the move, and he clips our rear right wheel, goes all four wheels off the track. And I tell you what, the stewards do agree with us on this situation. They give him a 3-second time penalty. So it is our first ever podium in PSGL, and 10 big points for Haas, our teammate, also picking up 6 points as well. Congratulations to Crifflam going for 17th all the way to 1st, and that's 3 victories in a row, and he's running away with this title. But you look at us, we're into the top 10. We're P9 in the championship, and that looks a lot better than it did at the start of the race. So we're actually pulling our weight as well for Haas, and it's our first ever podium. I want to continue this form. We go to Singapore next, which I'm okay at. And we'll see whether we're on the pace with the other guys or not. You can see here, I don't know what's wrong with the table, but we have jumped ahead of Alfa Romeo. That's 46 points this season, and I've actually done something for the Haas team. So we're buzzing with that. Singapore hopefully will be another good race for us, but we'll find out. Our teammate, his consistency is helping us along, and you can see there for some reason it gives him a 10th place and me a 2nd place. That's wrong. He got a 2nd place that weekend. I got a 10th place. But anyway, make sure you go ahead, leave a like, subscribe, comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.